Hi guys, welcome to this module on data analysis. We're going to look at several things. First of all, we're going to look at a feature called data tables. Then we're going to look at a feature called goal seek. Then we're going to look at a feature called scenarios, or using the scenario manager. And finally, we're going to look at an add-in which is called solver. All of them are data analysis tools. So the first one is the data table. Now the data table section is split into three parts or three elements. First of all, looking at as a column input, then as a row input, and then both of them together. So first of all, what you need to use the data tables feature. At the top of this spreadsheet, I've got a break-even figure of £220,000, and I want to know how many customers I need or how many visitors I need to make to £220,000. At present, I'm charging people £9 to get in to my event, and on average people are spending £5. And a simple sum there gives me the result, the number of customers or visitors that I would require. What I want data tables to do is to feed these cells, these green cells, price increases through this cell. Now, the title for this example is data table column input. These are laid out in a column, and they are going to feed through this top table into this position. So basically that £9 is going to change to 10, 11, 12 and so on all the way down. And when it does that, this figure will reduce to reflect that change. Now what you have to do to set this up initially is, in this example, as it says there, this top left hand cell, this pink cell, has to be blank. The top right hand cell, the blue cell, has to have a formula in it, in this case equals D5, which links these two tables together. So that is D5, that is linking it together. And then all you do then is you highlight this whole table, you go to the data tab, and we're doing what if analysis, and data table is what we're doing. When this box comes on the screen, it's asking you two questions. What is your row input cell and what is your column input cell? Our table is laid out in a column, so we don't have a row input cell. So which cell are these column of figures going to change with? So I've got this color coded, green to green. So that cell, D3, is the cell that they are going to feed through. When I click OK, the table populates, and you can see straight away the more money I spend, the less people I need to attract. Now once you've run data tables, you can then change these figures and you will get a reaction on the other side. So that was a column input. The process is the same for row input, except your figures are laid out in a row. But in this example, I've got a blank cell, which is the red cell, and the cell that links the two tables together is this cell, equals B6, and I want to know what will happen if I increase the amount of money each person spends in my shop. So the same process, I highlight the table, I go to the what if data table option. I do have a row input cell, so which cell are these row input cells swapping places with? And again, it's color coded, so they're going to swap places with B5. When I click OK, it gives me the answer. It's got some hashes there, but I'll just expand those. I know as soon as I do this, it's probably going to mess my table up, but it didn't, so that's good. So that was a row input cell, and again, if I change these figures once it's run, it gives me a reflection straight away there. I'm just going to change that down to, just get rid of the decimal places, wrong way. So that was a row input cell. Now putting them both together, the layout is slightly different. You don't have a blank cell. The top left hand cell has a formula in it, in this case B5, linking these two together. All you do in this case is you highlight the whole table, you go to the data tab, and you select what if analysis data tables, and this time you do have a row input cell. The green cells go into the green cells, so that's that one, B4, and then the purple cells go into the purple cells, so that was B3, and then you click OK, the whole table is populated. And that is an example of data tables. Now if we do a little example exercise here, so this would be a table that's laid out. So the criteria I've got there is course costs are going to go in row input, and trade materials is going to go in column input. So I've got income required 100,000, course cost is 75 and 14 for trade materials. I would need 1124 students. So first thing I do is I create a formula that links these two tables together by doing that. Click that tick, and then I put my raw input figures in. So 80, 85, I can highlight those two and use the step value feature to pull those over. And then course material is going up by 2, and again give the step value and then pull that down. So that's my table created. Now I need to highlight the whole table. I'll go to the what if analysis box, data tables. My input cell is a course cost, which is that one, and my column cell is the trade material cell, so it's that one. When I click OK, the table is filled in. So that's the first example of some data analysis using data tables. The next one is goal seek. So goal seek is a tool that allows you to change one element of a formula which will affect the result. So in this example, I've got a loan amount. I'm using what's called the PMT function, but it basically works out how much you need to pay on a loan, in this case a mortgage. So initial borrowing was 43,700, interest rate at 7.25, 25 years or 300 payments. PMT function returns 31587, that's what I would have to pay. But let's say I only can afford to pay £300. I want goal seek to tell me if I only pay £300 how that affects the number of payments. And this example's already been run, it's just a picture really. This would increase the payments, the number of payments, by 52. The payment amount has gone down to 300, so by losing £15 it's an extra 52 payments of 300. It's quite a lot extra. So let's have a go at doing some of these. First example is the PMT example, so I'm starting on these yellow cells. So in this example I want to pay more, so I'm paying 292, I'm going to pay 350. How does that affect the number of payments? So in a minute I'm paying this over 240 months. If I pay more, that's going to reduce, but by how much? So I go across I'm on the data tab still. I go what if, goal seek. I'm already on the correct cell, C4, to a value of minus, because it's a payment, 350 by changing cell C2. I click OK to that. It gives me an answer, so it's gone from 240 down to 165. I can cancel it off at this stage, but I am going to click OK. It's quite a big drop. This example, if I want a gross profit to be £56,000 by changing F2, so basically the cost of sales are going to have to change. So I'll start in the yellow cell, what if goal seek, to a value of, this is a positive number, 56,000 by changing the costs. Click OK. So my costs are going to have to be 67,000 if I want to make that profit. Click OK to that one. This one is the NPR function, NPER, number of payments basically. It's the same as this, these are just a different order. I want to know in this example, if I pay this mortgage off in 40 payments, how does it affect the amount I have to pay? So at the moment I'm paying 425. So again, goal seek, so a value of minus 40 by changing cell I2, the amount. You see the amount goes up quite a lot there. Click OK to that. And then the last one is I want to set this cell to a value of 20,000 by changing C14. What do I want to set to? Let's do it for 20,000 first off, and then I'll change it to 90,000. So 20,000 by changing the blank cell, so there's nothing there at all. Clicking OK to that. Just widen that column. Click OK to this. So basically, if I just knock the decimal places down on that one, I need to get 20,000, I need to get 3,636 cups and cakes to sell. And that's goal seek. Now, let's have a quick look at the exercise. So this one, I need this to say 40, pay over 40 payments. It's a number of payment function. So I'm going to back to the data tab, what if goal seek. I'm changing cell B4 to a value of 40 by changing cell number of payments. Click OK to that. The payments changed to reflect that. Click OK to that one. This one, I need to change this to use goal seek. The profit needs to be 30,000 by changing cell B6. So B6 is the sales. So the sales will have to go up, but to how much? Goal seek. Type 30,000 in there by changing cell the sales. So the sales need to go up to 32,000. Click OK to that. And then this, I need to break even figure of 50,000. So changing cell is that cell. So I've got what if goal seek to a value of 50,000 by changing cell B15. So I would need to sell 7,246 bags of fish and chips, and that's goal seek. The next data analysis feature is the scenario manager. Scenario manager is a tool that you can change multiple cells and see what the impact would be. To use Scenario Manager, you need to have formulas in your spreadsheet. So these cells have got formulas, and I've got some actual figures here, and I want to change these actual figures to the listed predicted costs and predicted sales in these comment boxes. So first of all, I am going to name these cells, and I'm going to do that from create from selection, left column, OK. So these are now named gross sales, etc., cost of sales, gross profit. Right, you don't have to do that for this process, but I always find it quite helpful. So I'm going to get the last one, which is Scenario Manager. Now, I always tell my class to create an actual scenario. So the first one I'm going to do is going to be actual. That will allow me to get back to the basic figures. Now the changing cells are these pink cells. So I'm holding my control key down while I highlight those pink cells. Those are going to be the changing cells. Click OK to that. Now there's the names, there's the original figures. Everything on this screen is OK, so I can just click OK to that. That's my first one done. Now I'll do the second one when I'm doing predicted costs and sales. Changing cells stay the same, click OK to that, but these figures now need to change. So predicted sales is going to be 112,000, predicted costs is going to be 15,000, the lease is going up to, where's the lease going up to? 12,000, utilities is going up to 1,900, and operations is going up to 2,500. And click OK. Now this is how it works. So I've got predicted, I go show, and that's the impact. I've got actual, so I can get back onto that. I go show actual, and then I can use this button to create a summary sheet. And I've selected the total there, the net profit. Click OK to that, and it gives you a comparison. The current values are a duplicate of the last thing that you looked at, so I'm just going to get rid of those. It leaves me with the two. And because this is a spreadsheet, I can do some analysis on that if I need to. So that was the basic scenario. So let's do this little exercise. So again, I'm going to name these cells. So we've got a formula, create from selection. Okay. It's asking me to replace an existing one, which I have done, but these are named: sales, retail, etc. Back to the data tab. What if, scenario manager, add, same process, actual, changing cells this time are all the blue cells. So again, I'm holding my control key down and selecting the blue cells. I'm okay to that one, that's the basic one, they can all stay the same. And then add for predicted, changing cells stay the same, okay, but the figures change. So the figures are now going to be these predicted figures. So sales is going to go to 56, so 56,000. Retail is going to go to 23,000. Training to 2,000. Heating is going to go to 3,000. Stationery is going to go to 3,000. If I come down a bit, let's get the rest of them. Staff costs are going down to 20,000, and food is going down to 4,000. And then I click OK to that, and I have the same as before, where I can show predicted, see the impact, and then show actual, see the impact. And then I can click on summary, and I'm going to click OK on summary, and I get the same as we did before with the duplicate column, which I shall get rid of. And that's the scenario manager. Now the last thing is an add-in, solver add-in, that you need to go into options and add-ins to add solver, but it's just a tick box exercise, and then it appears on the data tab at the end there. Now solver is a great little tool. So this example, I've worked out my budget costs, and I've come up with a figure of 201,000, and then my boss has told me that actually you've only got 150,000. You need to reduce these costs. So I could manually do this, but I'm going to ask Solver to do this. I'm going to give it some criteria constraints. These constraints are listed below there. So basically each sector, training, marketing and wages, these three, which are those three there, cannot exceed £70,000 total at the end. And then each quarter can't exceed 55,000 as listed there. Now Solver, if I click on Solver, this is already set up, this one. So I basically said set cell F6, which is the total cell there, to the total that I require, which is £150,000, by changing these cells B3 to E3, B3 to E5, using these constraints. So basically what I've just told you there, those are the two constraints. I've also put that there to make sure it doesn't put anything as a negative. Now if I click solve there, it will solve. It gives me the option to save it as a scenario if I want, but I'm just going to click OK to that, and it's solved it. But when I look at this, it's been a bit hit and miss with the wages. They're up and down a bit. So I'm going to go back into that and add a constraint. So basically I'm going to say wages have got to be less than or equal to 70,000. Let's see what happens there. Click OK to that. Solve. Okay, so it's solved it. Now it's still messing that up, so I'm not happy with that. It is correct at the end, so I'm going to say I'm going to fix that, give it a fixed amount. So I'll change that. I'm going to say it's going to have to be equal to 17,000. See what happens there. Okay, solve. Now we can't work this out, so it's coming up with an error message. Solver could not find. Okay, so now I have got a problem there. It's not working. So if I go back into it again and let's look at this top one here. So it's saying there, if I change that and say it's got to be less than or equal to 17th. Let's have a look at that. Okay, solve it. Still can't solve. So solver doesn't work every single time. If I take that constraint off, just delete that and then click OK, solve, it then does solve it. And basically that's solver. A little example too. This is a household spend. The only variable I've got here is the amount of money I spend on food. So all these are fixed costs that I spend every month. And let's say that I have a budget of 10,000, not 12,000. So let's get Solver to sort this out for me. So basically set it to a value of 10,000 and I've added all my direct debit fixed costs, and then I click solve and it tells me basically how much money I've got each month to spend on food. And that's basically Solver, and that's the end really of these 4 data analysis tools. I hope you've enjoyed having a look at these, and please comment below if you've got any comments, and if you enjoyed these sort of videos, please subscribe and I will do some more. Thank you for your time.